What if everything you thought you knew about the future was wrong? What if the Antichrist is not coming, but is already here, working behind the scenes, influencing leaders, shaping cultures, and preparing the world for his ultimate deception? You see, most people expect a villain straight out of a movie, a ruthless dictator, or a supernatural being with obvious evil intentions. But what if he arrives as the world's greatest problem solver? A charismatic figure who promises peace, unity, and solutions to humanity's greatest crises. Would you recognize him, or would you be among those deceived? The Bible is clear. 2 Thessalonians 2 warns of a great deception that will blind many. Isaiah 14 exposes Satan's age-old ambition to replace God, and Revelation 13 foretells a time when a global leader will control economies and demand allegiance. The question is not whether these things will happen, but whether they are already unfolding. Look around. Technology is advancing at a terrifying speed, governments are seeking more control, and faith is being pushed aside in favor of a new world order. Coincidence or prophecy in motion? In this eye-opening journey, we will break down the undeniable signs that the Antichrist is at work today. We'll uncover the tactics he is using, the prophecies that are coming to life, and most importantly, how to resist the greatest deception in human history. If you think you're ready for the truth, keep reading, but be warned. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Since the dawn of time, humanity has been captivated by charismatic leaders, figures who mesmerize crowds with eloquent speeches and seductive promises. The Antichrist, described in 2 Thessalonians 2, will embody this very essence. Someone capable of winning the trust of entire nations, presenting himself as the ultimate solution to global conflicts. He will not arrive with brute force but with an irresistible magnetism, convincing even the most skeptical that he is here to save the world. However, his true agenda will be far from benevolent. This leader's power will extend beyond mere words, reinforced by deceptive signs and wonders, as warned in Revelation 13. History has already shown us rulers who manipulated the masses with persuasion, from Roman emperors to modern dictators. The difference? The Antichrist will wield an unprecedented influence, not just over governments but over the very essence of human spirituality. He will not demand obedience. He will inspire it, becoming a universally accepted messianic figure. The real danger lies in the fact that people will seek in him the answer to their deepest struggles. In times of economic collapse, wars, and natural disasters, he will emerge as the world's last hope. Who wouldn't want a miraculous solution to all problems? But like a contract with fine print, there will always be a price to pay. And that price will be the truth. But how can one recognize deception when it appears so real? The Bible gives us clear clues, and it is precisely these that we will explore next. The Apostle Paul, in 2 Thessalonians 2, warns that the Antichrist will not come as a mere politician or ruler but as a being empowered by Satan himself. His arrival will be marked by supernatural manifestations, false signs and wonders designed to deceive even the most devout. This is not just about persuasion. It is about a global delusion so powerful that many will abandon their beliefs, convinced that he is the long-awaited savior. In times of chaos, when people are desperate for stability, they will not question the source of his power, only the results he promises. This scenario aligns with Isaiah 14, which describes Satan's original ambition: to rise above God and be worshipped as the Almighty. The Antichrist will embody this same desire, seeking to establish his dominion not just politically but spiritually. His deception will be so sophisticated that it will blur the lines between truth and falsehood, making even the most seasoned believers question their faith. Just as marketing can make a harmful product seem like a necessity, the Antichrist will package his rule as the ultimate solution for humanity. Revelation 13 further details how he will establish control over nations, manipulating economies and demanding absolute allegiance. With advanced technology, artificial intelligence, and global surveillance, the world is more interconnected than ever, making it easier for a single entity to exert influence over finance, communication, and even personal freedom. Is this prophecy closer to fulfillment than we imagine? The pieces are falling into place, and the next step is to understand exactly who this figure will claim to be. The Bible makes it clear: The Antichrist will not just be another political leader or influential figure. He will be someone who exalts himself above God, seeking worship and absolute power. 2 Thessalonians 2 describes him as the man of sin, who will sit in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be divine. This is no ordinary deception. It is the ultimate rebellion, the fulfillment of Satan's ancient desire to take God's place, as foretold in Isaiah 14. His rise will not be through brute force but through deception so compelling that even those who once stood firm in faith may falter. Throughout history, we have seen glimpses of this pattern: leaders who were idolized, regimes that demanded loyalty beyond reason, and individuals who claimed godlike status. But the Antichrist will be unlike any before him. Revelation 13 warns that he will control the world's systems, ensuring that those who do not submit to him will be excluded from society. Imagine a world where dissenters are silenced, where economic access is restricted based on allegiance. This is not some distant fantasy. It is a blueprint unfolding before our eyes. But here's the crucial question. Will people recognize him when he appears? Many envision the Antichrist as a monstrous dictator. But what if he comes as a benevolent peacemaker? Someone who unites nations, solves crises, and brings unprecedented prosperity. A wolf in sheep's clothing, winning hearts before revealing his true nature. If he were to step onto the world stage today, how many would be able to see through the facade? And more importantly, is he already among us? It's a question that lingers in the minds of many. Has the Antichrist already arrived? The Bible doesn't give us an exact date, but it does provide unmistakable signs. 2 Thessalonians 2 speaks of a great deception that will precede his revelation, a time when people will reject the truth in favor of convenient lies. Look around, society is rapidly shifting, morality is being redefined, and faith is increasingly dismissed as outdated. It is in this environment of confusion and desperation that the Antichrist will thrive, offering what appears to be a solution to the chaos. The presence of Isaiah 14's prophecy, Satan's desire to be like the Most High, is already visible. Technology, global governance, and the merging of economic and political power are paving the way for a world that can be controlled by one entity. Revelation 13 describes a system where people will not be able to buy or sell without allegiance to the beast. In today's world, with digital currencies, social credit systems, and centralized power structures, could this prophecy be closer to reality than we think? The most dangerous deception is the one that feels the most comfortable. If people expect the Antichrist to come as a ruthless dictator, they may be blindsided when he arrives as a peacemaker, a global problem solver who is adored rather than feared. And if he is already laying the groundwork, acting in the shadows while the world unknowingly follows his lead, what happens next? One of the most intriguing prophecies regarding the Antichrist is his connection to the Third Temple in Jerusalem. 2 Thessalonians 2 states that he will enter the temple and declare himself to be God, an event that will mark a pivotal moment in biblical prophecy. But here's the catch: the temple does not yet exist. However, rumors and discussions about its reconstruction are more active than ever. Some believe that political negotiations between Israel and Palestine could pave the way for its construction, fulfilling what was foretold thousands of years ago. This aligns with Isaiah 14, where Satan's ultimate goal is revealed, to establish himself as divine. The Antichrist will not be content with mere influence. He will seek worship. The existence of a physical temple will give him a platform to enforce his deception on a global scale. Revelation 13 warns that he will not only rule politically but will also demand religious allegiance. Could this be why there is growing interest in rebuilding the temple? If it becomes a reality, it could signal that we are moving closer to the final stage of this prophecy. Yet, what if the idea of a temple goes beyond a physical structure? The Bible also teaches that our bodies are temples of God. Some theologians argue that the Antichrist is already ruling over human hearts, subtly influencing minds through media, culture, and ideologies that remove God from daily life. Whether through a literal temple or a symbolic one thing is certain: his influence is growing. But what happens when faith itself begins to fade? That's where the next warning comes into play. One of the most chilling warnings in the Bible is the great apostasy, a time when many will abandon their faith, deceived by the Antichrist's influence. 2 Thessalonians 2 describes how people will reject the truth, embracing a comfortable lie instead. We live in an era where faith is increasingly ridiculed, traditional values are questioned, and absolute truth is replaced by personal perception. The Antichrist will not force people to turn away from God. They will do it willingly, drawn by his false promises of unity, prosperity, and progress. This rebellion is the very essence of Isaiah 14, where Satan's desire to elevate himself above God led to his downfall. The same spirit of rebellion is now at work in the world, convincing people that they no longer need divine guidance. Revelation 13 speaks of a time when the Antichrist will control the masses, not through fear, but through a system that rewards compliance. Imagine a world where standing firm in faith comes at a cost. Loss of opportunities, exclusion from society, and even persecution. Many, unprepared for such a test, will choose convenience over conviction. But here's the deeper issue. Apostasy doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow fade, a gradual shift where small compromises lead to a complete departure from faith. It starts with neglecting prayer, prioritizing worldly ambitions, and dismissing biblical teachings as outdated. By the time the Antichrist fully reveals himself, many will already be under his influence, unaware that they've been walking away from God all along. But if deception is this powerful, how can one resist it? The answer lies in understanding the very tactics the enemy has used before. The strategies of the Antichrist are not new. They follow the same pattern that Satan used to tempt Jesus. 2 Thessalonians 2 describes how the Antichrist will come with deception and false wonders, much like Satan tried to lure Jesus in the wilderness. He didn't attack with force. Instead, he offered solutions. "Turn these stones into bread," he said, and appeal to immediate needs. "Throw yourself down from the temple," a test of God's protection. "Bow to me, and I'll give you the kingdoms of the world," a shortcut to power. Every temptation revolved around twisting something good into a trap. This is exactly what Isaiah 14 warns about, the desire to be like God, to seize power, to control. The Antichrist will not come demanding submission. He will offer people what they desire most: security, prosperity, peace, but all at a hidden cost. Revelation 13 describes a time when people will willingly follow him, deceived by the illusion that he is their greatest hope. Imagine a leader who promises to fix global problems, end suffering, and unite the world. Who wouldn't support such a person? But just as Jesus refused Satan's offers, recognizing the trap, believers today must have discernment. But discernment isn't automatic. It requires spiritual training. How does one recognize deception? By knowing the truth so well that the lie becomes obvious. Just like bank tellers are trained to detect counterfeit money by handling real bills, believers must immerse themselves in biblical truth to recognize the schemes of the enemy. The Antichrist will not introduce evil blatantly. He will wrap it in goodness, making it seem like the best choice. And that is why recognizing the signs of the end times is more crucial than ever. One of the most unsettling warnings in the Bible is that, before the Antichrist fully reveals himself, the world will be filled with signs that many will choose to ignore. 2 Thessalonians 2 warns of a great deception, a time when truth will be distorted, and people will prefer comforting lies over difficult realities. Today, we see a world where morality is being rewritten, absolute truth is being discarded, and those who stand firm in their faith are often ridiculed. It's not a sudden collapse, it's a slow erosion, preparing people to accept whatever the Antichrist offers. Isaiah 14 reminds us that Satan's greatest ambition was to rise above God, and the Antichrist will attempt the same, convincing the world that he alone can bring peace and order. Revelation 13 describes how he will control commerce, politics, and even personal freedoms. We are already witnessing the rise of global systems that centralize power, from digital currencies to mass surveillance. These are not coincidences. They are mechanisms that could easily be used for complete control. When the Bible speaks of a world where no one can buy or sell without allegiance to the beast, it suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched. Yet, the most alarming sign isn't the technology or political shifts. it's the complacency of people. Many assume these warnings are exaggerated, that things have always been this way, but Jesus himself said that the end would come like a thief in the night, catching many by surprise. The question isn't whether the signs are happening, it's whether people are paying attention. And if the Antichrist is setting the stage for his arrival, the most important decision one can make now is where they stand when that moment comes. If the signs are clear, if the warnings are evident, and if the world is already shifting toward the deception foretold in 2 Thessalonians 2, then the most urgent question is, what can be done? The Bible doesn't just reveal the dangers ahead, it provides the only way to escape them. The Antichrist's rise is inevitable, but submission to him is not. While many will fall into deception, those who stand firm in faith will not be swayed. The key is to recognize that salvation does not come from governments, leaders, or human systems. It comes from Jesus Christ alone. Isaiah 14 illustrates Satan's downfall. His pride led to his ruin. In contrast, those who humble themselves before God will find strength and protection. The world may offer power, wealth, and comfort, but at what cost? Revelation 13 warns that those who align with the Antichrist will pay an eternal price. Right now, people still have a choice: to seek truth, to grow spiritually, and to prepare for what is coming. This isn't about fear, it's about being awake, about understanding that deception only works when people are blind to it. So, the question is simple: will you be ready? The Bible tells us that God is patient, not wanting anyone to perish, but there will come a time when the window for change closes. Now is the time to seek God, to strengthen faith, and to build a relationship that cannot be shaken by deception. Because when the world follows a false savior, those who know the true Savior will be the only ones who see through the lie. And with that understanding comes responsibility to act, to warn, and to lead others toward the truth. If everything we've explored is true, if the signs are unfolding before our eyes, if 2 Thessalonians 2 is happening in real time, and if Revelation 13 is closer to fulfillment than we think, then the most important question is, what are you going to do about it? Will you continue living as if nothing is happening, dismissing these warnings as mere speculation? Or will you open your eyes and prepare, ensuring that you are not deceived when the time comes? The Antichrist's power lies in distraction, in keeping people too busy, too entertained, or too skeptical to notice the trap being set. But knowledge is power, and now you know what many refuse to see. This is not a message of fear, it is a wake-up call. Isaiah 14 reminds us that Satan's greatest mistake was his arrogance, thinking he could replace God. The same fate awaits those who trust in the wrong leader. The only true refuge is in Jesus Christ, the one who has already defeated the enemy and offers a way out of the coming deception. So what will it be? Will you continue ignoring the signs? Or will you seek the truth while there's still time? If you've made it this far, it means you're searching for answers, and trust me, there's much more to uncover. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and share this message, because in a world full of deception, truth is the most powerful weapon you can have. The time to wake up is now.